I never thought I'd feel like a stranger at my own sister's wedding. But there I was, standing under a canopy of twinkle lights and fake laughter, in a dress I had picked 3 times before deciding it made me look safe. Charlotte looked radiant, of course. That's what everyone kept saying, like her glow was some magical energy we were all lucky to witness. I stood near the edge of the garden, close enough to be seen, but far enough to be forgotten. My name wasn't mentioned in the speeches. No one asked where I had flown in from. To them, I was the quiet sister in uniform, the one who probably printed the invites and helped carry folding chairs. A jazz trio played near the bar. White roses hung from crystal vases. Everything sparkled, just like Charlotte. She had always been the one with the spotlight. In high school, she was voted most likely to be famous. I was the girl who carried her books to the car. She dated quarterbacks and future CEOs. I got a full ride from the Navy and didn't make the family Christmas card that year. Even now, nothing had changed. Charlotte twirled on the dance floor like she was born to be watched. She made eye contact with every guest, winked at the camera crew, and smiled like she belonged on magazine covers. I just kept sipping ginger ale from a plastic cup, pretending not to notice how many people passed by without saying hello. My parents were seated near the head table. My father beamed every time Charlotte's fiancé spoke. My mother dabbed tears during the vows like it were the happiest moment of her life. When I waved from across the yard, neither of them waved back. They probably didn't see me. Or maybe they just didn't expect me to be there. I used to wonder why it hurt, why I still hoped they might notice something different in me. But I stopped needing their approval a long time ago. What lingered now wasn't hope. It was something colder. A quiet resolve that had been building for years, waiting for the right moment. Charlotte didn't know who I was. None of them did. They thought I worked in logistics, paperwork, admin. Something safe and forgettable. That was fine. I let them believe it. It made things easier. It kept me close without ever letting them in. But today wasn't just a wedding. This wasn't just another event where I showed up out of obligation. Something else was happening, something they weren't prepared for. And I wasn't the shadow anymore. There's a strange calm that comes with knowing a secret no one else can guess. Watching my sister toast to her perfect day, I felt it wash over me. Not pride, not jealousy, just focus. Because the next few hours weren't about flowers or cake. They were about the truth. And what happens when it finally steps into the light? The envelope was thick, cream-colored, and smelled faintly of lavender. Inside was a gold-trimmed invitation with swirling cursive that read, "Charlotte Bennett and Trevor Miles cordially invite you." No personal note, no handwriting, just a line at the bottom that said, "Dress code, black tie formal." It could have gone to anyone. I stared at it for a long time before setting it on the kitchen counter, like it might burn. I knew I'd attend, even though everything about it felt like a performance. Charlotte didn't call. My mom didn't follow up. The whole thing had the energy of an HR obligation. I wasn't invited because they wanted me there. I was invited because not inviting me might have looked worse. I spent 2 days picking a dress, something elegant, neutral, not too conservative, but not too loud. I stood in front of the mirror and wondered who I was dressing for. Charlotte? My mother? Strangers who'd already made up their minds about me? The dress was navy blue, simple cut, no sparkle. I flew in the night before the ceremony and stayed at a small hotel downtown. I didn't ask about the family block. I didn't want to deal with fake smiles at the elevator. That morning, I took my time getting ready. Hair in a tight twist, small earrings, no perfume, just enough to look presentable, not enough to stand out. Walking into the venue felt like entering another world. Crystals hung from branches shaped like trees. Staff in white gloves passed champagne on mirrored trays. Guests laughed the way people laugh when they're aware of being watched. It was polished, expensive, and exhausting. I kept to the edges, finding a seat near the fountain that was too far from the photo booths to matter. I watched Charlotte float from circle to circle like royalty. Her dress sparkled under every light, her smile fixed and perfect. If anyone noticed me, they didn't show it, and I didn't give them a reason to. This wasn't my world, but I wasn't uncomfortable in it. I'd spent most of my life on the outside looking in. What they didn't know was that I had stopped knocking on the door years ago. I was only here to witness, not to belong. I was standing near the edge of the terrace, sipping sparkling water, when I heard her voice cut through the crowd like a sharp blade wrapped in silk. "Oh, look, the secretary showed up." Charlotte's laughter rang out too loud, the kind of laugh meant to draw eyes and seal the insult with a smile. The guests around her paused, then offered the kind of polite chuckles that made my stomach turn. She raised her glass, grinning at the group around her, like she'd just told the punchline of a joke they all secretly loved. Bet the Pentagon gave her a day off from filing reports. Someone muttered something back, and she giggled, twisting the knife just enough to keep it casual. I stood there, frozen but calm, years of discipline keeping my face unreadable. It wasn't the first time. Charlotte had always known how to pick her moments, how to reduce me to a line in her comedy routine. But this time was different. This time, I wasn't just the little sister in uniform. I wasn't here as Emily, the invisible guest. I was something else entirely, and her joke had just pulled the curtain halfway open. I caught Mike's eye across the courtyard. He was watching Trevor, calm but focused. When his gaze met mine, he gave the slightest nod. A blink too long, a breath too still. That was the signal. The package was confirmed. Phase 1 complete. In an instant, the sting of Charlotte's words drained from my chest, replaced by steel. My focus shifted, like flipping a switch. No more pretending, no more shrinking. Her stage had just become my operations zone, and she didn't even know the lights were about to change. I didn't need revenge. I needed precision, and I had it. What Charlotte mistook for weakness had just greenlit the most critical moment of a 6-month operation. She thought she was embarrassing me. What she'd really done was trigger the final countdown. By day, they saw a woman in uniform, assumed she filed reports, shuffled papers, and kept things organized. What they didn't see were the locked doors, the classified briefings, and the midnight hours lit by intel feeds and encrypted transmissions. My name wasn't Emily in that world, it was Commander Evans. My call sign was Athena. I led joint operations for a specialized task force, tasked with tracking domestic threats tied to foreign networks. The work was exacting, unforgiving. One mistake could cost lives. But I was good at it. Not flashy, not loud, just quietly, ruthlessly effective. My office was a windowless room inside a secure facility. We worked off a wall of monitors, each one showing live data streams, satellite imagery, and facial recognition pings. The rhythm of my life wasn't built around family dinners or holidays. It was mission cycles, coded hits, and debriefs at 2 a.m. 6 months before Charlotte's wedding, a pattern started to emerge. A string of encrypted communications pinged our radar. The traffic was clean, professional, hidden behind layers of corporate IP masks and finance shellcodes. But one name kept appearing: Trevor Miles. He had access to sensitive information through his firm's defense tech partnerships. He also had frequent, unexplained travel to a handful of flagged regions. His digital footprint matched a known data mule profile. When his engagement to Charlotte became public, the decision was made. We had to move, but not just anywhere. The wedding was perfect. Open access, predictable guests, controlled perimeter, a beautiful distraction masking a high-value takedown. I was assigned as the lead planner. It wasn't personal. At least, it wasn't supposed to be. But when your own sister's fiancé turns up on a watch list, you feel it. I poured myself into the op. I built every layer of it, from logistics to backup contingencies, from route mapping to insertion timing. Operation Garden Sweep was mine. I ran simulations with the team, briefed operators, and coordinated with the FBI and local PD. They listened. They followed my lead. They never asked about the bride. They didn't know she was my sister, and I didn't tell them. That detail didn't matter to the mission. It only mattered to me. Back home, my family still saw me as the quiet one, the afterthought, a bureaucrat. But behind those sealed doors, I was the one who gave orders. And the people who followed them? They were the best this country had. Trevor had no idea. Neither did Charlotte. The operation wasn't about revenge. It was about national security. It just so happened that the biggest lie in my family was about to be undone at the altar. The beauty of the wedding wasn't just in the decor. It was in the precision it offered me. The schedule was airtight. The guest list is predictable. The terrain is familiar. I had walked every inch of that property on old family visits. Now, it was mapped digitally, overlaid with routes, cover points, and breach vectors. Trevor was always going to be at his most confident here, surrounded by friends, by family, by illusion. That made him careless. He'd have the briefcase with him, the one flagged in surveillance. We believed it held a satellite phone, a data drive, and the final link in a chain of encrypted exchanges. He wouldn't let it out of his sight. Mike, my husband, was our on-site confirmation asset. His role was simple: watch, verify, signal. As a guest, he had full mobility. He'd blend in, move freely, track Trevor without raising suspicion. His signal was a nod. One movement, 1 second of alignment between us. Once that happened, we had a 15-minute window. No more. The SEAL teams were staged nearby, waiting for the green light. Entry points were set. Local law enforcement was pre-cleared under federal warrant to stay clear of the zone. The music, the lighting, the stage, all perfect misdirection. Charlotte's toasts would buy us just enough time. While everyone looked at her, we'd move. If Mike didn't confirm visual within the window, we'd abort. No second chance, no improvising. A failed mission meant burned assets and blown cover. Months of intel gone. The wedding was a high-risk environment, too many civilians, too many cameras. But also the best cover we'd ever get. I had to get it right. There was no backup planner, no next in command. I was the architect, the decision-maker, and ultimately, the one who'd pull the trigger. I stood by the garden arch, watching everything with clinical stillness. My earbud buzzed quietly, comms live and steady. I knew every face on site, knew where each operative stood. Every second felt stretched. Every sound is filtered through mission priority. Then Mike turned, just slightly, met my eyes, and gave the nod. The world narrowed. My thoughts slowed. One command sat on the edge of my tongue, waiting, and I knew when I said it, nothing in our family would ever be the same again. The music cut mid-chord. 1 second there were violins and laughter. The next, silence so sharp it felt like glass. Heads turned. Glasses froze in midair. Then came the sound. Not screaming, not shouting, just a low, controlled thud at the rear gate. In less than 10 seconds they were inside. 2 teams, 8 men each, moving like water across the grass, past centerpieces and stunned guests. Black gear, silent steps. Weapons down, eyes sharp. They weren't there for fear. They were there for precision. People didn't scream right away. Most didn't understand. A few gasped. Someone dropped a drink. Charlotte's mouth opened, but no sound came. She stared as the operators flowed around her guests, ignoring everyone, heading straight for one man. Trevor. He turned, confused, said something to one of them. They didn't answer. They didn't need to. One reached into his vest, showed a warrant. Another stepped beside him. Calm, efficient. "Mr. Miles," You are being detained under the authority of the National Security Act." That was it. Trevor didn't resist. He didn't speak. Just stared, stunned, as they secured the case and placed him between two operators. His champagne flute hit the ground and rolled toward the cake table. Charlotte finally found her voice. "What is this? You can't do this. Who are you?" But no one answered her. No one looked at her. Her perfect day was shattering in slow motion. Guests frozen in place. The string lights cast warm, broken shadows. She searched every face for answers, found none. Then, from the far edge of the garden, I stepped forward, quiet, steady, no longer in the shadows. I walked calmly through the stunned crowd. No one tried to stop me. People parted like I carried a badge they couldn't see. My heels clicked against the stone path. The noise felt louder than the silence. Charlotte turned when she saw me. Confusion twisted her features, then panic. The SEAL team leader spotted me and straightened. He walked with purpose until he stood exactly 2 feet in front of me. Then he spoke, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Ma'am, target secured. The package is in custody. Premises are clear." My family froze. Charlotte's eyes jumped between me and the man. Her mouth opened again, but nothing came out. My mother looked like she'd seen a ghost. My father stepped forward. His voice was hard, almost angry. "Who's in charge here?" The team leader didn't flinch. He glanced at my father, then turned back to me. "Mission Commander Athena is in charge, sir." He said it like it was common knowledge, like everyone in the world already knew. That name dropped like a stone in still water. Charlotte blinked. "Athena?" she whispered. "What does that mean?" My father's expression cracked. His posture fell away like a suit folding in on itself. I didn't explain. I didn't have to. That was the beauty of the truth. It didn't need performance. It just needed a place to land. I looked at my sister, not with anger, not with pity, just clarity. This was who I was. Not the secretary, not the spare. I had never needed their approval. But in this moment, they finally saw me, and that was enough. 3 months later, I stood at the front of a secure briefing room, watching a new group of analysts take their seats. Their faces were fresh, a mix of nerves and excitement. Behind me, the screen displayed my name and title: Commander Emily Turner, Lead Architect, Joint Intel Operations. The same name they had once skimmed over at family dinners now opened doors in every classified room I entered. My life had changed, but not in any way that needed to be broadcast. It just got quieter, more focused. I had traded secrecy for mentorship. I wasn't hiding anymore, but I wasn't performing either. I was simply doing the work. That evening, after a long debrief, I came home to the quiet hum of my kitchen and Mike finishing up dishes. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. I opened the message and read it twice. "They told me everything. He's going to prison. Why didn't you tell me who you were?" It was from Charlotte. I didn't feel anger or regret. I didn't feel anything sharp. Just a calm, heavy stillness. Her message didn't hurt. It wasn't a wound. It was a memory I had already filed away, like a closed report marked complete. I sat for a long moment before setting the phone down without replying. Not out of pride, but because there was nothing more to say. I had spent years hoping for her to see me. And now that she had, I realized I no longer needed it. Recognition had never been the goal. Peace was. And for the first time, I had it. I looked at the message one last time before sliding my phone across the table. The words didn't follow me. They stayed on the screen in the past. A version of me might have cried reading them. That version doesn't exist anymore. I didn't delete the message, just archived it, like any old case file. Complete, closed, no bitterness, no gloating. Just the quiet confidence of someone who knows who they are and doesn't need anyone else to confirm it. The house was filled with the sound of laughter that night. Not the forced kind that fills wedding halls or boardroom parties. Real laughter from people who knew the real me. Not Emily, the secretary. Not the forgotten daughter, but the woman who made hard calls and stood by them. In this home, no one needs to be reminded of my worth. They see it, they respect it, and they stand with me, not above me. I didn't respond to Charlotte's message. Some things don't need answers. I clicked archive. Then I turned to Mike, and we went back to our evening like nothing had happened. She spent years overlooking me. So did my parents. But this time, when they looked, they saw what they had never had. They never saw me. But now, they can never forget me.